Hero shooters haven't really been my thing over the years of playing games. Yes, they're popular, and yes, I have had fun on Overwatch 1, for example, when it was brand new, but there are other genres I feel more inclined to play. However, after giving Overwatch 2 another attempt not too long ago, I decided to turn my gaze towards Paladins, which remains free to play on Steam. Now, this game is quite old actually. I think it came out in 2017, soon after Overwatch 1, but I never played it before because it came off as just a cash grab copycat clone of that game. However, Overwatch 2 was quite disappointing, and I thought, why not try Paladins? After all this time, how bad could it be? It didn't take long to learn the game. However, immediately it was apparent that the user interface could be a little bit more polished. I wasn't bothered by it because it gets the job done, but sometimes assets wouldn't load properly, sometimes it would bug out and you'd even need to refresh your game or turn it off and on again just to get it to work. There are a couple UI issues, but not to the point where it will interrupt you playing. I'd say 90% of the time you should be fine. So after doing that and going in its tutorial that teaches you how to play a basic hero shooter, I decided to pick Ceres as my first character. It was just a random pick. Turns out it was the generic heal support of the game, and I played a few matches with that and generally had quite a bit of fun. I liked how this healer was focused on getting stacks on enemies and then cashing them in for a self-heal, potentially a stun, so that you could support your team with that as well as the more expected healing. Over time, I would learn more about the game's complexities, like how there's a deck of cards each character can have, and you can pick 5 of them and you can choose how potent they are with a point limit, which can let you customize your playstyle, which means that even if there's 2 people that play the same character, they might not play it in the same way. But even beyond that, there's 3 main perks called talents that you can also pick at the start of a match that augment or completely swap the functionality of an aspect of your character. When you add that with the deck system, you get a unique build which is further enhanced by an item system where every person in the game at the start of a round can choose to spend their points to get certain items that do things such as heal your allies more, receive less damage from regular attacks, get a damage boost if you've killed someone, recover a little bit of health when you hurt an enemy. And this really makes the game very different on a tactical level to Overwatch, which is fine by me. I like playing strategy games, tactical games, and whilst this is only a minor element of it, I think it's just the right amount to give it a bit more spice and personalization without detracting from the main game, because ultimately, if you're good, you can just pick up your controller and shoot. There's lore to Paladins. Each character has a profile section that can tell you about them, and I think there's also a global big storyline that involves multiple factions, locations, and character groups. I didn't really look into it. I've come to Paladins years after it was new, and I'm just looking to play around. That said, I still appreciate the variety in the character designs and how well they're put together. I actually think it's got a good roster, despite the fact I've only barely scratched the surface of what these characters are about. Their presentation, their movesets come together well enough for me to enjoy them nonetheless. I also started playing with one of my friends so that we could get a better idea of what team play would be like, because I'm sure as many of you have come across, if you play on your own, the randoms you come across with are not guaranteed to play as a team. So if you go in with at least one person you already know, you can at least have that. And it makes the game even more fun. You can start trying to do strange builds like, oh, maybe we'll both be healers, maybe we'll both be tanks, let's just stick together, let's split up and flank the enemy. Usual stuff any multiplayer provides, but hero shooters are uniquely disposed, having fun emergent strategies mid-game when you communicate with your team. And on the topic of communication, as far as casual matches were concerned, 95% of the time, the people you run into either don't say anything or are pleasant enough. Only the small 5% of the disenfranchised man-children that have nothing better to do but complain on a free-to-play multiplayer game, only that small 5% are annoying to play with. This changes if you go to Ranked. Ranked is filled with sweats and tryhards from every crevice of the deepest hole of the internet, and they will cry if it doesn't go their way, if their character is banned, if they died first in the first clash, if the team is winning but just not winning well enough. It doesn't matter, they're going to cry. A lot of them are going to be rude, even if the scoreboard at the end shows that they performed a lot worse than anyone else on your team. If you're not a fan of that, and I don't blame you, don't bother playing Ranked. Ranked was also interesting because it had a ban system, which is usually reserved for tournaments and not just a ranked mode in other games I've played, but here, even the normal Ranked had it, and the teams take turns locking off characters, you have to pick what's left, and you can't have the same character as someone on the enemy team, which I was surprised about. This does mean that there's an interesting meta around, alright, who's always going to be banned? Who did the enemy pick, which means I still can't pick them anyway? What do we have left? How do we make something cohesive with those pieces? Which, like the other strategy layers, does have some value. Though this one might take a little bit too much away if you just want to play as your favourite character. There's a good collection of game modes as well. You've got Siege, which involves taking a point in the neutral territory and then trying to move a payload to the enemy base. If you manage to do both, you score twice. If you only got the first one, you score one, and the game can't be won if you defend. You have to score one of those points. Then you've got Payload, which is just moving a payload from start to end, and then you swap teams and you have to beat the first person score. Team Deathmatch is your standard first person shooter, kill the enemy enough times to win. And then there is Onslaught, which is king of the hill basically. There's a point that you need to control, and every second you're in it, you're scoring, and the first person to reach the correct number wins. But then there are also event modes that are swapped in regularly enough, including a wave defense mode against the AI, which has multiple variants on different maps with slightly different features. The way you unlock things is a lot like the original Overwatch as well, where there are loot boxes, there's an in-game currency, you can earn some of it for free, but they really want you to pay for it. However, they do let you earn enough in-game gold to unlock whatever character you want basically. I've not ran into an issue where there's X amount of characters I want and it feels like I would have to grind for a million years to get them. I've not had to do any grinding. If I wanted a character, I just went to get it and now I have them. Skins though, whilst not necessary for gameplay, will probably require money. I haven't spent any, and I also barely have any skins, so that's a bit telling. There is also a slight issue with some bugs, like where the battle pass isn't giving out some of the rewards you should be getting, which is annoying. I just don't spend any money, so even if I don't get something, at least I didn't lose anything at the same time, but your mileage will vary on that. And in general, this game has a couple hackers on it. You'll find them more in ranked. I only encountered, I think, one on casuals. And honestly, casuals is the place to play if you ask me. Pick who you want to play as. If your team don't want to work together, it's whatever, and there's nothing on the line. You're just here to have fun. And if you just want to have some casual fun, I think Paladins is actually still worth playing today because it's free and there's barely any blockers into doing so, and the training mode is good enough to where you'll be able to learn your character and get going. If you want to play ranked, maybe not. You're probably already playing another sweaty competitive ranked game. No need to add this one to the list if it wasn't already there. It's going to be more of the same. So all in all, I'm glad I tried out Paladins, and perhaps if I did give it a chance back in the day when it first came out, I would have had an even better experience when it was still a bit more lively. The game is by no means dead, despite what all the doom scrolling posts you might see online say. I started about 3 weeks ago and didn't run into repeat players until I was playing on ranked. So if this game interests you, go ahead and play it. Of course, this is my own opinion. I'll be interested to hear what you might have to say. Are you new to Paladins, or have you been playing the whole time and are disgruntled with its current state? Let me know in the comments down below, and thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. Until next time, this is the Mighty Mage, signing off.